Hello, 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 hello. All right. I am on live. Um, Let me just make sure that I am. All right. All right. So, hello, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. I am Kristen Nicole Mann, and I am back on my channel. Welcome. This is the YouTube channel of myself. As you see below, make sure you're subscribing first, and then watch all my videos and support them and like them and do your thing. So I help women, modern day women specifically, find their true authentic selves through all things creativity. That's Black women. All other types of women gravitate towards my channel. So I'm excited that you're here. And I wanted to talk today about, my new book. I had a lot of stuff that I wanted to just roll out, and then I ended up getting this like sinus cold, whatever is going on. I'm like, perfect timing. So if my voice sounds a little bit off, that's what it is. But I really wanted to roll out a lot of things and do the flips and everything. If you don't know, I do have a newsletter, a monthly newsletter. So I have put the month of May out today. And that was like challenging in itself because I'm like blowing my nose. So hopefully my nose behaves during this, and I don't really have that much time. So I wanted to just hop on before it got really late. Or it was, the other West Coast can see this coming up at their dinner time, whatever the case may be. So I am excited. I have a new book today that I dropped for pre order. And that book is called From Shadow to Sunlight, Reclaiming Your Inner Child, from the Shadows of Narcissism. And this book is really near and dear to my heart because I have personally grew up with narcissistic personalities around me. And that wasn't always parental. And I want to kind of show people that dynamic because I know there's a lot of people that, blame their parents for certain things. And there's just, a whole campaign of that. But I really wanted to give a dynamic of also growing up with like siblings, cousins, aunts, uncles that also act like the narcissistic personality trait. And they may have not been clinically diagnosed, but there are a lot of the traits that they have line up with that whole diagnosis. So it is really difficult to grow up around that. And to some extent, it still is difficult because you have some people just don't want to change. And that has shown over the years that, some people, they just don't want to change. And it doesn't matter how it's affecting you personally or others around them personally. They just don't want to change. And, one day I was just like, enough is enough. I want to write a book about having narcissism in my childhood that really overshadowed me showing up in the world and being confident and understanding my identity. And, it came out in so many ways. And it was a healing process that I had to go through from 2015 really up till recent. It's never ending, honestly, because there's things that come out and I'm like, wow, where did that come from? Or I didn't deal with this. It's just an onion that just continues to peel back. And where it starts is 2015. I moved away from home. I moved away from what I knew, familiar places and people and everything, and I came to a new environment. And I found myself really in this space of, I don't know what the heck, what the beep happened. I was just like, what is going on? I had a 1 year old son that I had in prior in 2014, and I was this new mom. I had a little bit of postpartum. My dad died the same year that my son was born. I was a caretaker with my mom. So like after all of that, after someone passes, after being a caregiver, you really have this gray area of like, I'm relieved, but I'm sad that this person's not here anymore. And I have talked time and time again about my dad being an alcoholic. And there's different forms of alcoholism. So his form or function of alcoholism was he was a functioning alcoholic. So what functioning alcoholics do, they go to work, they're normal from surface base. But when they go home, they may turn into somebody else because they start drinking after they get off, or when they're to themselves. So I dealt with growing up with two different people. That was my dad. It was the drunk, and then it was the father, the lovingly father. So seeing that dynamic as a child, he was, from the time I was born, so I never really knew him without alcohol. But one thing that he did not do is he did not drink in front of me. So that was another interesting dynamic, because you're seeing someone turn into someone else and you don't even know where it's stemming from. And then as you grow up, you're like finding empty bottles. He always had his own like man cave and bathroom and stuff. So I would sometimes, have to go to the bathroom down there, and I would find empty bottles. I can't till this day remember my dad picking up a cup or a beer or anything in front of me. So it was like conflicting. I'm like, I can't even imagine this nice man drinking. And unfortunately, that's what he did. And so that contributed to my childhood. But then I also had siblings that are older than me. I am the youngest. I have a brother that's like in his 50s. I have a sister that's 7 years older than me. So I grew up the youngest, and also I didn't go to school with any of my siblings. So I was kind of like, almost, it felt like an only child sometimes, but then it was like I wasn't. So it was the sibling dynamic was very strained, and it still is till this day. And I'm actually proud that I had gotten to the point to be able to talk about this, because I was so scared for so long to talk about the real story of my sibling dynamic, my parents, all those things, and not to make no one look bad, but facts are facts, truth is truth. And this year I just decided to tell my truth, because growing up with older siblings, it wasn't always the best with my particular siblings. And it's still not the best. I don't really have a relationship with neither of them. It's cordial, but they never had been like, come on, little sis, let's go. Or, they just never felt it was important to be a sibling to me. And it's not to, be funny, but this is really what the real story is. And a couple years ago, there was a book put out about our family. And my older sister decided to share from her lens about who she was, her story. But a lot of what was in the book didn't really paint people well. And then I wasn't even really in the book. The only part I was in the book was she saying like she wished that I was never born. So what do you do when someone says that? What do you do when your own sister is publishing a book saying they wish you was never born? Now, what did I do? I got a draft of it. She let me read it. And I didn't say anything. I suppressed it. that's what I decided to do. I don't know why I suppressed it, but I chose not to say anything, which is not healthy. I wouldn't commend anyone not say anything when there is an opportunity to. And so I went on like it was nothing, and just kind of like tried to do what I usually did in my childhood. Like I just suppress. And, one day I had this dream, and this dream was not a good dream. It really exposed some things. And I remember sending the dream to someone, and they interpreted it for me. And they, basically just said, I have decided to be like a doormat. I decided to just let everyone else shine and really take the back seat. And when that person told me that, it was like a bubble popped. I was like, wow, where have I been? And at this time, it is maybe 2020. So when I say this has been a long process for this book to come about, it's been a long process because I started really the grieving and facing the grieving, because you can grieve and not face it. But I started to face the grieving on top of like connecting the dots to who I was and what what I crafted, like what identity I crafted outside of who God made me. And so, when the person, said I was like being a doormat, I was like, wow, okay, I gotta wake up. I have to wake up. And I started to wake up, and I started to create boundaries, and I started to really hone in on the inner work that I needed to do. And that was to heal, to really heal and live healed. Because we can keep saying, oh, I'm a heal, I'm a heal, I'm a heal. And we never get to a point where we are jumping over the hurdles, like we're an overcomer. So it's just really important in this book for me to make that clear and bring some clarity to some people that may have had this happen in their lives. It may have not been their siblings. It may not have been even their parents. Maybe they had a mean grandmother, maybe they had a mean grandpa, maybe they had aunts and uncles where they saw two worlds, where at home their parents wasn't really like that, but then when they would go visit family, it was a whole different scenario. And these things affect us from childhood to adulthood. And there's a lot of people walking around still as a child, as a wounded child, as a wounded with childhood trauma, all these experiences that they never really faced. And so it is important that this book is not a diagnosis, but it's like a tool to help people understand like what they need to work on, or what do they need to think upon. It's not really a book to be like, you are sick, you need to be healed, but I'm just telling real stories and real experiences that I've had through just life. Life is always life in different various ways. And so I'm excited that this is coming out. You can get your pre-order. It's in the description. My website is www.christinicoleman.com. And then, I wanted to touch a little bit on mastering multiple skills and staying focused in this time, in these tough times. Real quickly, because I'll probably get back on later and go more into that with a part 2, but because I have a phone call coming up. But stay focused. There's a lot coming at us. There's a lot of distractions. There's a lot of negativity. Stay focused. You have skills that you probably haven't even tapped into. You have skills that you probably not even you don't even have the confidence to think that you can master them. I want you to focus on the task at hand. If you don't have task right now, take some time to figure out what that is, what that looks like to you and your life, because it's extremely important. And I want to get back on and talk about that because focus right now is really hard for some people, and we just have to overcome. We have to be overcomers. We have to be overcomers. So I hope that you find in your heart, see my voice, find it in your heart to purchase a pre-order of my book. It's coming out the end of the month and possibly sooner. So I'm excited, and I will catch you all later. I know I went through that really fast, but I'll be back on. I'm going to make it a challenge to get back on, okay? Because I have an important phone call, so I have to like go now. But like and subscribe to my channel. And yeah, we'll dig in further later. All right. Have a good afternoon. See you later.